The ancient people have left behind a lot of things that reveal how they lived, built, believed, and transformed the world around them. But not every discovery fits so neatly into history. Some of them still leave experts searching for answers, even after decades of digging and research. One such example is the Al-Saflieni hypogeum in Malta. But it's far from the only one. Join us as we're going to show 15 ancient discoveries that still puzzle even the Earth's brightest minds. Number 15. Egypt's unidentified alabaster tablet history usually gives archaeologists at least a few clues to work with, like a burial site, an old inscription, a forgotten temple, something. This artifact offered none. It first appeared in the records of a Swedish museum in 1830, but later testing suggested the alabaster itself was carved 5,000 years ago. Even today, it's still a puzzle where it originally came from. The circular tablet is covered with Egyptian hieroglyphs and carved with a series of shallow, round depressions spread across its surface. One suggestion is that they once held oils or incense, although a disc measuring more than 2 feet across seems far too large for such an ordinary purpose. Others have compared its unusual layout to something much more sophisticated, like a carefully arranged control panel rather than a ceremonial object. Egyptologists have searched for another artifact remotely similar and come up empty-handed. Without an excavation site or matching examples, the tablet sits in a category of its own, still refusing to explain why it was made. Number 14. The strange jade figures of Hongshan. Every ancient civilization leaves behind a signature. Egypt had pyramids. Mesopotamia had cuneiform. The Hongshan culture left jade and plenty of unanswered questions. Living near China's Liao River during the Neolithic period, these people vanished without leaving a written language to explain their beliefs or traditions. What survived instead are mind-blowing jade carvings unlike anything produced elsewhere at the time. Many resemble dragons or deer, while others possess strangely human features that have led countless people to compare them with modern images of extraterrestrials. That comparison may be dramatic, but the sculptures certainly refuse to fit into familiar categories. Without myths, written records, or ceremonial descriptions, archaeologists are left interpreting silent objects with no accompanying story. Were these guardians, spiritual beings, clan symbols, or representations of something entirely different? The craftsmanship alone makes it clear they held tremendous importance. Sadly, the culture that understood them disappeared long ago, leaving the rest of us to keep guessing. Number 13. The star map hidden behind a wall. The Silk Road carried more than silk, spices, and merchants. It also carried ideas, beliefs, and knowledge that quietly crossed continents without making much noise. Near Dunhuang, Buddhist monks carved hundreds of caves into sandstone cliffs where travelers paused to pray before setting off across one of the world's most dangerous routes. For centuries, nobody suspected one of those caves concealed an extraordinary secret. Everything changed in 1900 when Taoist monk Wang Yuanlu uncovered a hidden chamber sealed behind a wall. Inside rested more than 40,000 manuscripts covering medicine, religion, art, mathematics, and science. Among them was an astonishing document now known as the Dunhuang star chart. Created around the year 700, it is widely regarded as the oldest complete star atlas ever discovered. The map records the positions of hundreds of stars with remarkable accuracy, including details that continue to impress astronomers today. The greatest mystery isn't the chart itself, it's how someone achieved such precision so many centuries ago. Number 12. The ancient creation story written in clay. The connection between humans and gods is as old as time itself, or maybe even older. Every single civilization tried to answer the same impossible question: how did all of this begin? The Babylonians had an answer. and they pressed it into 7 clay tablets thousands of years ago. They weren't writing fantasy tales. They were explaining how they believed the universe truly came into existence. At the center of the story stands Marduk, who challenges Tiamat, the sea goddess and mother of the gods. Their battle doesn't simply decide who rules heaven, it becomes the birth of the world itself. After defeating her, Marduk tears her body apart and shapes the heavens and the earth from it. Humanity follows, created to serve the gods rather than stand beside them. Historians believe the tablets may also have strengthened Babylon's political power, giving divine approval to its kings. Whatever the intention, the Enuma Elish is far more than an old legend. It's an ancient civilization explaining power, creation, and humanity's purpose with incomprehensible confidence. All carved into clay long before paper even existed. Number 11. The legend of Pennsylvania's horned skulls. Sometimes, an old story refuses to disappear no matter how many years pass. One of the most famous cases surfaced during the 1880s near Sayre, Pennsylvania, where newspaper reports claimed an ancient burial mound contained several unusually tall skeletons with bony projections rising above their eyebrows, giving them the appearance of horns. The remains were reportedly dated to around AD 1200 and described by antiquarians involved with the excavation. According to later accounts, the skulls were sent to a museum in Philadelphia before disappearing, leaving behind little more than scattered reports and lingering speculation. Similar stories appeared elsewhere across North America during the 19th century, adding even more fuel to the mystery. Horns have long symbolized authority, strength, and divine power in ancient cultures, which only makes the tale more intriguing. The problem is that no verified museum records or surviving specimens have ever confirmed the discovery. Whether forgotten history, exaggerated reporting, or an outright hoax, the story continues to spark debate more than a century later. Number 10. The artifact that refuses to fit history. This thing was found in 1889 by a drilling crew who were simply doing the same job people had done there for years. Nothing weird was expected that day. Then, from almost 300 feet beneath the ground, a tiny clay figure suddenly came up with the drilling material. It wasn't a rough lump or a broken rock. Someone had carefully shaped it into a human form and decorated it with surprising detail. That's where the arguments began. The layer it supposedly came from was believed to be more than 2 million years old, a time when human craftsmanship shouldn't even exist according to conventional history. Critics argued it must have slipped down from a higher level or been planted somehow. But neither explanation has ever convinced everyone. Its delicate features make it surprisingly difficult to explain. Even today, the figurine remains in the Idaho State Historical Society, quietly refusing to disappear from the conversation. Maybe it's nothing more than an extraordinary mistake. Or maybe this tiny object has been asking an uncomfortable question for well over a century, and no one on Earth has managed to answer it. Number 9. Scotland's unidentified wooden artifact. People usually expect archaeology to uncover swords, pottery, or the occasional piece of jewelry. Every so often, though, a discovery appears that nobody can confidently put a name to. That's exactly what happened at the Black Loch of Merton in southwest Scotland. Buried beneath the floor of an Iron Age house, archaeologists recovered a carefully carved wooden object believed to be around 2,500 years old. Normally, wood disappears long before anyone has a chance to study it. But the waterlogged ground protected this one almost perfectly. Its smooth, spindle-shaped body and neatly drilled sockets show remarkable craftsmanship. Yet they only deepen the mystery. The holes stop short instead of passing completely through, making its original purpose frustratingly difficult to reconstruct. Suggestions have ranged from furniture to a musical device or part of an unknown tool, but none explain every detail. Roman writers dismissed the people of this region as uncivilized. This quiet little artifact tells a very different story, one we still haven't managed to read properly. So, do you have any theories on it? Number 8. The Lost Moai of Rapa Nui Well. Rapa Nui has never been the kind of place that gives away all of its secrets at once, and this discovery proved that once again. Back in February 2025, volunteers working inside the dried bed of a crater lake stumbled across a moai nobody even knew was there. Standing just over 5 feet tall, it isn't one of the island's giants, but honestly, that isn't what makes it remarkably mysterious. Several unfinished moai would have reached nearly 70 feet had their carving ever been completed. Most of the island's roughly 900 statues were created between 1250 and 1500 and are generally believed to represent honored ancestors watching over their people rather than simple monuments. This one tells a different story. Why was it lying in the middle of an ancient lake instead of standing on a ceremonial platform? Was it abandoned during transport, deliberately left behind, or placed there for reasons that have long disappeared? Number 7. Thailand's three-whale rock. There are places where nature seems to have an imagination of its own, and three-whale rock is one of them. Resting high above the forests of northeastern Thailand, 3 big sandstone formations appear to glide through the landscape exactly like a family of whales breaking the surface of the sea. From the ground, they look like ordinary weathered cliffs. Climb high enough, however, and the resemblance becomes almost impossible to ignore. Each formation carries a distinct head, body, and tail, creating a shape so convincing that first-time visitors often wonder whether they're looking at a coincidence or something man-made. Geologists point to millions of years of wind, rain, and natural erosion, and the science certainly supports that explanation. Even so, many people struggle to believe chance alone produced such a striking arrangement. No carving marks, tools, or construction proof have ever been found. Perhaps nature deserves all the credit. Or perhaps this is one of those rare places that refuses to stop people wondering. Number 6. The perfect stone of Cusco. Every city has one landmark that locals never grow tired of pointing out. In Cusco, surprisingly, it isn't a palace or a monument. It's a single stone tucked into an ancient wall. Set within what was once the palace of Hatun Rumiok, later incorporated into the Archbishop's palace, the famous 12-angled stone has become one of the finest examples of Inca stonework ever found. Carved from green diorite, its 12 carefully shaped corners fit so precisely against neighboring blocks that even a thin sheet of paper struggles to slip between them. There's no mortar holding anything together, yet centuries of earthquakes that damaged later colonial buildings barely disturbed the wall itself. Exactly how those joints were achieved remains a lively debate. Many credit Inca master builders, while others suspect they inherited techniques from an older civilization. Whatever the truth, perfection wasn't accidental. Every adjustment demanded astonishing patience, remarkable skill, and craftsmanship that's still difficult to match today. Number 5. The Rhodope skull mystery. This find didn't begin inside a laboratory or during an archaeological excavation. Oddly enough, it started with a dream. A man from Bulgaria claimed the same strange vision kept returning until he finally followed it into the Rhodope Mountains. What he reportedly found waiting there was unlike anything anyone expected: a pale skull weighing only about 250 grams, oval in shape, with 6 hollow chambers that didn't resemble the anatomy of any known human or animal. Resting nearby was a small metallic object which only added fuel to the speculation. Before long, archaeologists, researchers, and UFO enthusiasts all had their own explanation. One side suggested an unknown species. Another quietly wondered whether it could be something far stranger. Then the entire story took an unexpected turn. Before specialists from abroad could properly examine it, the skull disappeared. No official transfer records ever surfaced, and no clear explanation followed. Maybe it was an ordinary mistake. Maybe it wasn't. Number 4. The shaman of Tassili. Long before great books, grand temples, or so-called written history, people were already leaving messages across stone. The problem is, thousands of years later, we're still trying to understand what they were saying. Painted across the cliffs of Algeria's Tassili Niger is one of the strangest human figures ever discovered. Dating to the Neolithic period, the image appears to show a person surrounded by mushrooms, with several seemingly growing straight from the body itself. Many archaeologists believe it represents a shaman experiencing a ritual involving psychoactive mushrooms, making it one of the earliest visual records of altered consciousness ever found. The artwork first came to wider attention during the 20th century as explorers documented the enormous collection of Tassili rock paintings. Similar mushroom imagery appears elsewhere around the world, yet nothing captures the same unsettling energy as this figure. Whether it records a sacred ceremony, a spiritual transformation, or something we no longer recognize, nobody has been able to agree, and perhaps that was always the point. Number 3. The Himalayan towers nobody can explain mountains are best known for erasing history. Villages disappear, kingdoms fade, and sometimes only the strangest things are left standing. Scattered across remote valleys of the Himalayas are remarkable stone towers, unlike anything built in the surrounding region. Many climb well beyond 100 feet, yet they've survived powerful earthquakes that reduced nearby buildings to rubble. Their star-shaped design is equally puzzling because it doesn't resemble the traditional architecture of the communities around them. Dating has only complicated matters, with carbon analysis placing different towers anywhere between 500 and nearly 1,800 years old. Quite a few occupy the heart of ancient settlements, suggesting they once carried far greater importance than simple watchtowers. Perhaps they proclaimed the authority of local rulers. That idea explains why they existed, but not how they were engineered with such precision using early technology. Whoever mastered that knowledge left almost nothing behind except these extraordinary towers, quietly overlooking valleys that have forgotten their builders' names. Number 2. The alligator mound. This thing doesn't look particularly impressive in photographs. Honestly, you have to stand beside it before it starts making you wonder what was going through someone's mind over 1,000 years ago. Near Granville, Ohio, an enormous earthwork stretches across the landscape in the shape that early settlers thought resembled an alligator. It was built by the Fort Ancient culture sometime between 800 and 1200 C, with radiocarbon dating pointing to around 950. Here's the part that makes people stop and think nobody was buried there. Most ancient mounds have an obvious purpose. This one doesn't. Archaeologist Brad Lepper believes the figure may actually represent an underwater panther, a powerful spirit woven through native traditions, which honestly fits the evidence much better than the old alligator label. Effigy mounds weren't built simply because someone had spare time. They carried meaning, belief, and intention. Only 2 survive in Ohio today. We mean whatever message this one once carried, it was important enough for an entire community to shape the landscape around it. Number 1. The Roman tool nobody can identify. Granaries, roads, bathhouses, and fortresses usually come to mind whenever Roman Britain is mentioned. These strange little bronze objects rarely do, which is surprising because they're among the most puzzling artifacts the Romans ever left behind. They were known as cosmetic grinders, and experts say they date from roughly 100 BC to 200 C and always appear as matching pairs of grooved mortar alongside a carefully fitted pestle. Many are decorated with animals, sacred imagery, or even unmistakably phallic symbols. suggesting their owners valued them for far more than appearance alone. Unlike ordinary Roman pallets, these tools worked with a sideways grinding motion, hinting that they prepared something entirely different. The problem is nobody knows what that substance actually was. Researchers have proposed cosmetics, medicines, aphrodisiacs, herbal mixtures, and even hallucinogenic compounds. Yet no surviving residue has settled the debate. So, what do you think of these perplexing ancient finds? Which one surprised you the most? Let us know, and be sure to like and subscribe. See you soon.